growing up, we didn't really have a football team in the era that I was in. The Rams had left, the Raiders left. So it was Lakers, Dodgers. Like that's what we did. You bleed purple and you bleed blue. And the Lakers fall off a little. And that's my point is like, I had that Kobe era where I was so like, I could be on the edge of my seat watching basketball, and I haven't really felt that. And it was like, that's why I'm like, let me enjoy my team that I have them right now, because you never know when it's going to change and when it's kind of going to go away, and it goes in like, and so.
Yeah, we tend to not enjoy the greatness in the moment, and we like to talk about it afterwards. And that's something I have to constantly remind myself when I'm watching Shohei, that like I might be playing with the greatest player of all time. Like I need to enjoy everything that he does, and I do, because it's hard not to. He's hitting balls out of the stadium. He's throwing balls 103 miles an hour. It's like everything this guy does is absolutely insane. And even Freddie, he's hitting 60 doubles a year. Mookie's becoming a Gold Glove at a new position after winning however many Gold Gloves at another position. Like it just like it's sometimes we forget to enjoy the greatness when it's right there in front of us, and we'd rather talk about it after the fact. But that's something that I'm trying to do more and more, is just enjoy what I have around me, and try to just watch it and enjoy it as much as possible.
Yeah, well, I mean, for when you're talking about Shohei, it's like your teammate is the greatest player of all time, but he's also the one picking up the trash on the ground and filling up the water cups in the dugout. So do you ever need to like click back and remind yourself, okay, this is like this?
Well, and that's just that's a culture thing, I think, too. But that also speaks to who he is. One of my favorite videos that I've seen is where we're in I think we're in San Diego actually, but Shohei's standing next to Will Smith, and Will Smith's chewing some gum, and he takes it out and he throws it on the field, and Shohei just turns and side eyes him like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like
how dare you?
Like, what did you just do? I know. When we went to Tokyo, we came back, I was like, man, that just like makes that video make so much more sense.
And also,
yeah, I mean, we're
from them.
we're traveling with the baseball form of the Beatles at the moment, so it's pretty crazy everywhere that we go.
Yeah, I mean,
well, what does off season look like for you? Do you have fun holiday plans? What's the family doing?
Well, we're getting ready for another baby. That's what we've mainly been doing. So it's we're trying to enjoy the holidays as much as we can, but we're starting to stress out over that. She's coming up real soon, and
wow.
So we're trying to get things prepared for that. Make sure we're having cribs and strollers and all that stuff, and trying to remember what all we had from the previous babies.
I know you guys probably have stuff in LA and Arizona. Do you have just stuff everywhere?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're trying to remember what all we've got. Thankfully, Kelly is about the most organized person I've ever met in my life, so she has a pretty good, handle on all that. But that's also stress that she doesn't need to be dealing with. But unfortunately, I can't handle that because I don't know. So I try to help out as much as I can, but that's why Kelly's got to handle on all that stuff.
Aw, oh well, we're so excited for you and your growing family. Please give Kelly a hug for us, and we wish you the best going into 2026. And enjoy this back-to-back championship.
Yeah,
and then go for that three-peat.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's the plan. We're gonna enjoy it now, and then but we're already getting ready for next year. We're training hard and working on some things, so we didn't get much of a break.
I know.
Do you know if you're playing World Baseball Classic?
I will not be unless I'm asked. I have not been asked.
Okay.
That to me, that's one of those things where you get a chance to put on the USA jersey, you can't turn that down. You have to do it. But have not been asked, and I don't expect to be asked. So I'll be enjoying it with everyone else watching and cheering on the United States.
Let's talk about your moment in Game 7, because I know everyone likes to talk about Miggy's home run and Will Smith's game-winning home run, and those were absolutely amazing. But we never would have gotten there if you didn't start us off. What was the dugout like when you came back in? Because at that point, now you guys are only down 1, and it's like, okay, we can win this game.
At no point in any of the games did it ever feel like we were really like out of it. I know there's some games that we lost to them that were like 6-1, 8-1, or whatever the scores were. I don't remember, but our dugout did such a good job. The guys that weren't on the active roster, they were in the dugout every single pitch, and they kind of understood what their job was. Their job was to make sure that we were, staying positive throughout the entire game. And, I don't think we win without those guys being who they were in the dugout for us. And they they just kept us up the whole time. And so game 7, we knew we were right there. And, they kept going, hey, let's chip away. Let's just get one. Let's get one. And then, when I got the homer, for me, I wasn't sure how much I need to celebrate that. Cause like, obviously you hit a home run in game 7, it gets us closer, but we're still down by 1 run. And so the last thing that you want is to be the guy that's, throwing the bat 100 feet in the air, cartwheeling, and then you still end up losing the game. And it's like, well, look at what this loser did. And so for me, like I was really pumped about it. But I was just like, I can't take this, I got to just be a little more serious about this. So I'm running around the bases. When I get back to the dugout, they were hyped and they were pumped. And that definitely gave us the chance. And, I talked about it before that in the back of my mind, I knew that at least guaranteed Shohei one more at bat. And with what he'd been doing, throughout that postseason, it was like, all right, well, this gives us a really good chance to come back and tie this game. If we get a guy on, he can hit a big homer. But it guaranteed him one more at bat. So for me, I think it was just a really huge, huge moment.
Man, Shohei. I mean, everyone talks about him, and it is pretty incredible to watch him. But to be honest, as a fan right now with the team that you guys are, I kind of feel that way about all you guys. Like it's really incredible. I mean, I've seen a lot of talented teams through my lifetime here as an LA fan, but I really had to stop and like not let people make me feel bad for just being so in awe of what is in front of me, because you don't know from season to season what's going to change and, all the things. And so I was like, no one burst my bubble. Like, let me geek out on these guys, because it's been like honestly incredible to see all you guys step up whenever any of you guys, there could be a void somewhere, but then all of a sudden somebody does something that just like clears the void. And it's been really, really beautiful as a fan to watch you guys.
It has, and fun. We have to come to your defense a lot. And as Dodger fans, and I wonder if people say this to you, but people would rather hate. It's easier to hate than really acknowledge all of the beautiful things happening within the organization and with the team. But what is so special and what we really like to highlight the most is, man, we have this star-studded team. But you are all great guys and great role models and really care and love each other. And so evident, especially, last season and this season. What has made like this team this year, what do you think made this season so special?
Yeah, the last 2 years, we've gone through a lot throughout the course of the season. A lot of injuries, some stuff happening off the field. You talk about like Freddie's family, you talk about just like, other stuff that's going on. And it just brings the guys closer together. And, the injuries, they always suck. And we've had a lot of them, unfortunately. But that's also just the injuries are also just the repercussion of playing deep into the postseason every single year. It's really hard to do that and then come back the next year and do it again. And it kind of gives us some adversity, and it makes the guys get closer together, because that's the only way you can really get through that stuff, is you have to be closer as a team. If everyone's off doing their own thing, it's hard to, it's really hard to kind of scrape through those moments where you're missing a couple of guys, maybe you're missing a couple of starters. And, we've seen that a little bit where, when we get a big blow, we'll go out there and we'll have, a bullpen game or something, and just no one's firing on the right cylinder. Then there's been other times where it's like, okay, we all got to come together, and it just helps us find ourselves in those tough moments. And that's just what's made the team so special. Is unfortunately we've had to go through a lot of them, but it's also made us who we are.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you guys just have like the utmost respect for each other from start to finish, which really shines through, because, I'm sure, there's the veteran energy, and then there's these new guys, and, people are getting pulled up, getting put back down, but it just seems like you guys just like really stayed like steadfast and just solid and kind of just did what you knew, at least from the outside perspective. That's what it looked like.
And I'm sure the teams are special too and are gelling like you guys, but
well, now you're starting to sound like everyone else. Even when we had
Yeah,
Stan on, Stan's like, well, everyone, all other clubhouses care too. And I was like, I'm not talking about
We're Dodger fans. Sorry. We just talk about our team. We know there's others out there, but we're
I think for us though, it's just our veteran guys and our stars and the amount of work that they put in each day. I've seen a lot of people in this game, and there's some guys that are just so naturally talented that they're all stars and Hall of Famers, and they don't necessarily work that hard. They're just that gifted at this game. And then with our team, we have multiple Hall of Famers, multiple All Stars, and yet those guys are out there every single day early, and that's where you see the clips. You have Freddie and Mookie and me and Miggy every single day out there, doing our ground ball drills. And these are just boring drills that you almost kind of don't want to do, but it's just become our routine that we're out there every single day together, making sure, and we're also holding each other accountable. Like, hey, did you guys do your infield stuff yet? Did you do your cage work yet? And for me, and I know this started before him, but for me, that's always started with Kirsch. From the day that I had walked into the clubhouse years ago now, that was like one of the first things I noticed was there was nobody that had more fun than him, but there was also nobody that worked as hard as he did. When he showed up to the field, it was like 3-4 hours of just nonstop. How am I getting better? What am I doing in the weight room? What am I doing out on the field? How do I work on my mechanics, work on this pitch, work on that pitch? Do my stuff in the training room. Like, what do I need to do to be better? I'm going to work as hard as possible. I'm not going to stop. And then when that's over, it was like he was the greatest teammate ever. He loved having fun in the dugout. He loved having fun in the clubhouse. And that was how he was a leader, was he just set the tone with how he worked and how he went about his day. He didn't have to be a vocal guy. And that was one of the things that like immediately stood out to me and that I noticed. And so when you're talking about one of the greatest pitchers of all time, that's how he's going about it. It kind of makes you look at yourself and be like, okay, maybe there's some things I could do a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And then just throughout my career here with the Dodgers, the guys we brought in, I've already mentioned, Freddie and Mookie and all those guys, they immediately were doing the same thing, picking up on the same thing. It's how can I get better? How can I, what do I need to do to be better? How hard do I need to work? And, there's never a stopping point with that. There's never too much work you can put in. You can always be getting better. And then once that's over, how am I going to support my teammates? How am I going to go out there and win? It's not just all about me. There's certain times of the day that it's about me and how do I need to get better. But then once that game starts, it's how do we make this team win? What do I need to do to help this team win? And I just think that's something that we have that's really unique here. And and like you said, not saying that it's not like that anywhere else, but there are a lot of stars out there that they want to get their numbers, and that's how they want to be remembered is they always have these numbers every single year. But for a lot of us, we have guys that have those numbers already, but for a lot of us, it's how many rings are we going to have? That's what we care about.